Greeting my friends, Reformed Stoic, back again with another video. So, ultimately, not really a lot of comments on my last video, but I'm going to work with what I got. If you want to support me in a way that's completely free, if you could just leave more comments, you could reflect on what the video said, or you could literally just say, skitty, let's get it, let's go. I'd appreciate it. I appreciate algorithm comments. But somebody left me a comment saying, well, yeah, if you're a complete psychopath, you get rid of your emotions. But how are you going to know that anything's wrong if you don't have emotions? You feel a certain way when something's wrong, and your emotions let you know. They're helping you. If you feel bad, it's going to let you know that something needs to be changed. And I'm not here giving you a hard time. I'm not smearing you. This is good stuff, because that last video was get rid of your emotions, guys. Why? Let's get into that now. Let's get into the why. Well, I'll start with the premise that something is wrong. And it's something that you're not going to be able to fix. So I have been searching for a long time. Probably doesn't need to be seen or said at this point. But there's kind of this stereotypical Eastern wisdom of the immaterial is greater than the material. I'm going with that. I have gotten to a point where I agree, yes, we live in a material world, and there's something about people that is beyond material. And I don't try to explain what that beyondness, what that otherness is, but I think probably the best explanation for now is consciousness. I am a conscious being. I know that I am. What is the thing that knows that I am thinking? That's something that spiritual people have pointed out lately. The thing that knows that I am thinking. That, if that's not what I am, like if my consciousness is not what I am, it is, at least in my opinion right now, the highest expression of what I am. But it is an extension of my material body. There are eliminative materialists and various kinds of atheists, hard materialist scientists who are trying to say all your consciousness is an extension of your brain and chemical processes. That's what I learned to be eliminative materialism. I took a philosophy of cognitive science class at UNLV. I was taught by someone who received a master's from UC Berkeley, and they were basically like the chief philosopher of eliminative materialism. And that is his life's work. Like, all we are is a farm of chemicals, and everything that you think is your consciousness is just an extension of your brain, which is a computer. And once that brain shuts off, you're gone. Now, do I have what it takes to refute that? Not necessarily. It seemed like his enemy, more or less, or his kind of opposing philosopher, because in our final essay, we either got to side with his eliminative materialism or Noam Chomsky's rationalism. Well, I wrote a nice little smug essay. I see where you're coming from, but me, personally, I'm more in line with Noam Chomsky's rationalism, maybe, and I gave all my reasons for it. I got like a B+. I think it was a pretty bitter B+. I think it was a little bit of bitterness in that grade. But I digress. I, for whatever reason, no smears today, I, for whatever reason, believe that the consciousness is greater. The consciousness does survive the material death. But while we inhabit this material form, it is affected by our material form. I actually, and this is not the first time that this philosophical experiment took place, but if you do something that temporarily hurts your material body, like for example, yesterday I went to, how grocery stores have that little kind of like deli section, if you call it that, where you can get like jalapeno poppers and fried chicken strips and JoJo's. I have two gears. I have the gear where I've been craving that for a long time. I'm like, oh man, I want to get some nice ranch and some chicken tenders and some jalapeno poppers. Man, I was craving jalapeno poppers for a long time. And the second gear is I'm never eating that crap again. Oh my gosh, I remembered why I don't eat that stuff. I got way too much. I told the guy I wanted like a quarter pound of JoJo's, a third pound of jalapeno poppers. I'm not really good at measuring that stuff. He gave me so many chicken tenders. He gave me so many jalapeno poppers and so many freaking JoJo's, dude. I saw him scooping it in the bag. I need to be like, what are you doing? Stop! Please stop! And if the labels were correct, like it costed like nothing. I think he's just trying to like clear it out. Maybe he was trying to be nice because, you know, like a quarter pound of like greasy old JoJo's is basically like worthless. So he gave me like a lot because that's the only way to get my money's worth. But I made the mistake of trying to like not waste that food. Some of those JoJo's and poppers ended up in the garbage, but I ate all the chicken tenders. Basically, guys, I ate a crap ton of greasy fried food. And it had an effect on me. And as a result, I was more emotional. I was not thinking rationally. It had an effect on me yesterday. So somebody who is theoretically spiritually developed, like what I saw yesterday is like, hey man, you're not thinking clear. You had a lot of fried food. I'm not able to transcend that feeling. That feeling is there. And I wasn't able to read as much because it was temporarily making me feel, I'd say, like depressed, anxious, not good. And those feelings in your body go up into your mind and your brain, and it starts trying to get you to think negative. And in that moment, I couldn't really do that much about it. But the thing that knows that I am a thinker, the thing that realizes my stream of consciousness was telling me, man, you just went to town on some fried food. That's the most jalapeno poppers you've ever had in a sitting. That's the most chicken strips you've ever had in a sitting. And that's the biggest bag of JoJo's I've ever seen. You're not thinking straight. You need to kind of just not react right now, okay? My brain will be misfiring. I will be thinking things that are negative, but you need to just let it go. You need to just sit there and let the thoughts fire off like, oh, your life is this, your life is that, and then just, you know what? Tomorrow, I'll be feeling better. Once I get this crappy food out of my system, and once I remember, okay, we need to eat healthy like all the time, and there's not really a reason that I want fried food, this will run its course and you will be better. So my body, like the comment said, is letting me know that something is wrong. Okay, yes, something is wrong. You had way too much fried food. But is it helping me for my mind to just be depressed in that moment? For me to start thinking negative, for me to start thinking in this kind of like doom and gloom way of my life, for me to all of a sudden, when really I've had good days the last few days, when I've been in a positive mindset, is it helping me to all of a sudden be in this negative mindset because I ate fried food? No. And people do stupid things. You know, we watch stupid movies. We intake too much media. Sometimes we eat too much candy. Sometimes we eat crappy food. We make bad decisions. And a big part of improving spiritually is to stop making those bad decisions. The way I see it, guys, when you adopt a healthy diet, which, you know, people debate keto. I don't know how many people really debate high carb at this point. It's out there. I'm more on the side of high carb, but it doesn't matter. It's just about natural food. You know, if you're going to eat a crap ton of ground beef and be keto, get the grass-fed good stuff that basically goes bad if you don't freeze it, you know, like fruit, vegetables, ground beef, chicken, ground turkey, rice, just natural whole foods, not going through the drive-through. I will say though, every now and then I'll go to a burger joint and get like, medium drink, medium fries, burger, maybe like a double bacon burger or something, that isn't like the end of the world. That isn't devastating. I treat myself with that maybe like once a week, usually after leg day. And it's not the end of the world. Like the greasy fried stuff is like, that's kind of the end of the world in that moment. So I think you kind of get what I'm getting to with that. Like, sometimes your body will be not going through something great, and you'll have to detach from that. I mean, now that I'm kind of more confidently heading in this direction of Eastern stuff, really, again, circling back to it, I definitely think I was just unexperienced. And now I'm joining some of these groups on Facebook, and I'm seeing all these kind of like just untethered, just free spirits. Or put it this way, guys. If one end of the spectrum is like the Catholic Church, where everything is strict rules, abiding by the rules, and then the opposite of the end of the spectrum is these kind of like spiritual groups, and people are just, every post is different. Nobody really agrees with anybody because there's no tradition, because there's nothing that's keeping people in check. I think I have prepared myself to be ready to embrace this more kind of Eastern spirituality because I've been tempered by years of tradition. So I still, to this day, think my video about mystic Catholicism, Catholic mysticism, I think that's a great system, man. Especially the system of like, hey, do it. Like, get baptized and confirmed and do all that, and then do the first 5 Saturdays devotional where you go to confession every first Saturday and then pray the rosary every day. And then after you complete that, if you want to leave the Catholic Church, which I'm kind of in a place where I think if you're searching for the truth, you probably should. Basically, like, using the Catholic Church as like a secret system of initiation, and don't tell the priest that you're doing that, obviously, but so much of this like new age stuff, guys, it's just not founded in anything like traditional or organized or disciplined. There's no discipline in it, okay? You open some crappy book from a coffee shop and say, whoa, I'm God, I'm one with the universe. Like, oh, I'm just gonna do whatever I want all the time. And that's not what I believe. But so we can probably start taking this home. That's a good example of why, like, you don't need emotions for anything. So they asked, how can you know if anything's wrong if you don't have emotions? And then that goes back to, well, something is wrong all the time. That's the idea that this material world is inferior to the greater potential that's within people. And it doesn't have to be like a Gnostic or a Buddhist thing. That is expressed in those beliefs. But, even Christianity, like, we fell from the higher realm. We were cast out of the garden into an imperfect world. It's in the Bible. So something is wrong all the time. This life is wrong all the time. Politics is wrong. The way people treat each other is wrong. So your body is filled with all these sensors and things. And if you're, patting myself on the back a little bit, if you're sensitive, like if you pick up on things, if you read between the lines, if you consider yourself like an empath, a thinker, a philosopher, your alarms will be going off 24/7. Your nervous system will always be telling you that something is wrong, because something is always wrong in this life. And going over like the soul trap and like the extreme, like this is a prison world and we are trapped, this is something that you escape, I think that belief in and of itself is a little bit neurotic. I'm to a point where I say, hey, you know what, that might be closer to the truth than a lot of people are willing to accept. But looking at life that way, just wording life that way, is kind of neurotic and negative and counterproductive. I think Buddhists are just like, what's it, Goldilocks? Like, oh, this bed was too hard. This bed was too soft. This bed was just right. Buddhism is just right. It's not, it's like, oh, we're trapped here from lizards in a soul trap and everything's a lie and there's no escape unless you're one of the 0.0003%. That's just too much. If you have that floating around in your head, it's going to be counterproductive. You're the kind of person who's not going to escape the reincarnation cycle or soul trap if that's what you believe. But Buddhism is like, it's just putting it how it is. This life is suffering. You need to detach from the suffering. So the idea that your system is helping you, I'm sorry. Like, if we were living where we're supposed to live, like if everything was all good and then every now and then something was wrong, sure. But your system is just, you need to feel bad because something's wrong. You need to feel bad because something's wrong. And it's doing its job. It's doing its job. It means that you have a good system. It means that you're not a normie. It means that, maybe you're higher IQ. Maybe you're more perceptive. Maybe you're more empathetic. I think it's a sign of having a superior system, okay? And I don't mean for that to sound arrogant. It's just like our bodies are like a car and you're driving a Ferrari or Tesla or whatever. I don't really care about cars. But because of the superiority of your system, you got this alarm going all the time and it's going to cause you to suffer and it's not helping you. So you need to kind of transcend your car alarm. It's like, okay, I get it. Something's wrong all the time. Let's just kind of get the screwdriver in there. And that's meditation. That's meditation, mindfulness, traditional Chinese medicine, Qigong, a lot of just thinking, reading, thinking, understanding. People could call that gnosis, having the proper understanding. I'm not going to call it that. But it's like, oh, okay, we live in suffering. And it's all around, and everybody's going to suffer. Even like this idea that you can escape it by being a good boy. It's like, you're not a good boy. I almost feel like that comment was implying, it's like, well, you feel that way because you need to get a job, and you need to get married, and you need to have kids, and you need to do everything your parents wanted you to do. You need to do everything that your teacher you wanted to do. You need to do everything that your priest wanted you to do. That's why you left the church, because you're not listening, you're not doing the work. Like, you need to do everything everybody tells you that you need to do, or else you're not a good person and you don't feel good because you're not a good person. Hey man, if that's what you want to believe, if you want to jump through everybody's little hoops of fire to like, and the comment mentioned something about psychopathy. A lot of the people who want to see you jump through those never-ending rings of fire, like, you're not an okay person because you're not doing what I think you should do. Those people are the psychopaths. See, I feel like I'm kind of an expert on dark triad. The bottom line of dark triad people is that they are indifferent to the suffering of others. The last thing that I want to do is cause people suffering. I'm trying to help end your suffering. Your endocrine system, your body is alert, alert, alert. You're surrounded by narcissists. You're surrounded by people who don't care about you. You're jumping through hoops of people who don't care about you. You're actually listening to people who want to see you fail. Like, yeah, man. We are living in, I'm trying not to say a spiritual trap, but it, give that its due. Every now and then it's like, man, this kind of seems like some sort of a weird spiritual trap where people feast off of suffering, where people manipulate us, where we're kind of farmed for our labor, and it doesn't have to be abstract, like lizards eating your fear and anger. It could just be like the 0.0003%, like not ever having to work while there's like hordes and hordes and hordes of people creating wealth that they just sit on top of. I mean, bro, that is what we live in, okay? So I am not a psychopath, because the bottom line of a psychopath, of a narcissist, of a Machiavellian is other people's suffering, going around the merry-go-round of the triad. Some are just more indifferent to it, and they regularly cause it, and they just don't care, or they're not aware, or they enjoy it. Some people don't understand that, and they try to lecture me like, that's not what narcissism is. It's like, okay. I like thinking in terms of bottom lines. I like thinking in layman's terms. I like speaking in a way that takes less time, that gets to the bottom of what you need to understand. When there's somebody in your life who regularly makes you feel bad, and then tries to lecture you, well, it's good that I'm making you feel bad. I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to help you. But the bottom line is that more time with this person equals more bad. Less time with this person equals more good. It's the bottom line. And you don't need to label them anything. Sometimes labels don't really help. But if you wanted to slap a little label on there, it's probably dark triad, probably narcissist, probably psychopath, probably not good. So you want to live in a hug box where you just feel good? Like, people are not trying to help you when they make you feel bad. And we don't debate these people. We just get them out of here. Hey, person who makes me feel bad, I don't want to be around you because I don't want to feel bad. Do hug box exist? Yes. Is it possible that a challenge could cause you temporary bad feelings and you need to overcome that challenge? Yes, but that's not what I'm referring to, guys. And if you don't believe me, it's like, oh, this is just Stoic's narcissistic, delusional construct to try to live in the tiniest little hug box away from everybody so you can feel better about yourself. Well, that's basically Buddhism, guys. I didn't invent it. Your problem is with Buddha, not with me. Your problem is with all kinds of mystics and wise men and sages and philosophers. Take it up with them, dude, because I am just rehashing what they teach, okay? And I do believe that Christ's teachings are in line, okay? Blessed are the peacekeepers. Blessed are those who struggle for righteousness' sake. Blessed are those who thirst for righteousness. Blessed are the meek of spirit, okay? Matthew 7, treat others the way that you want to be treated. Judge lest not, yea, be judged. Take the log out of your own eye before to take the speck out of your other's eye. Not everybody who says, Lord, 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 will be saved. I believe that Christ was in line with this, okay? Now, when you're young, suffering helps you more. But as you get older, okay, I think that my content is for a more mature audience. It's not helping you. I'll leave it up to you. Do you need the suffering? Do you need the never-ending car alarm? Oh, it's good that the never-ending car alarm is going off because I wouldn't remember that I'm surrounded by bad people. I wouldn't remember that I'm in a very bizarre world manipulated by evil. At a certain point, it's like, okay, I get it. Things are not great out there, but I am going to detach from that. I am going to use my logic and reason to remove myself from that, to put myself in the best scenario, to harden up, to ultimately detach from my material condition and head toward the monad, baby. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Monad, baby. I used to believe the complete opposite of this, bro. Basically, I followed like some materialist guy who's just like, all there is the material, and everybody who believes anything else is complete loony. And I saw how like completely ass backwards that person was. I was like, you know what? I think maybe the exact opposite of what he believes is the truth. He might even be some sort of a fed Freemason honeypot who's trying to lead people in the worst possible direction. And yeah. And, you know, I used to be an occultist, I guess. I wouldn't label myself that. You're just going to have to go to my Patreon if you want to know what it is I really believe, guys. That's where I'm at. But I did want to further clarify my last video. This one's a little bit longer. But to answer your question, how are you going to know that everything's okay if you don't have emotions? Logic and reason superior to emotions. Women tend to be a little bit more emotional than men. That's okay. There is value. See, I'm not some like transhumanist who's like, oh, you know, these manly characteristics are dead weight, female characteristics are dead weight. You shouldn't worry about being a man. You shouldn't worry about being a woman. And that goes into an entirely different subject. But, you know, in terms of like what a woman is attracted to, I've always said that women are very sensitive. They are kind of these measures of truth, okay? They are unconsciously looking for a man who is aligned to these kind of like, you could say platonic forms, you know? There's the eternal form of a man, and they're measuring the men they come across to that. And part of what makes a man is his stoic ability to detach from emotions. Women just don't like neurotic, emotional men. You can complain about it. You can make 100-part MGTOW video series about it. It's not going to help. It's not going to change. If you want to be more in line with this eternal ideal of a man, you're going to be less emotional. That's what it is. Women who are seekers, you're going to want to keep your emotions in check. But a woman's emotion is more in line with femininity. I think your emotions tend to be more pure, less aligned with fear. Men's emotions tend to be aligned with lacking and fear. It's like, oh, there's a good reason for that. Because, well, my logical, rational mind is telling me to get those people away. And I'm fine. Like, I'm not doing anything irresponsible. I got a roof over my head. I got food in my body. I'm nourished. I'm surviving. I am surviving just fine. So my logic and rational mind is not leading me astray, as far as I can tell. If you die, then you blew it. That's kind of a weird way to end the video, but we got to end the video, guys. That's what I got. That's my answer. So men, I would encourage you, you don't need your emotions. Trust me, once you get them out of there, you'll be like, wow, this is so much better. Now, it doesn't mean that you mistreat people. See, how you live your life doesn't come from your emotions. Like, oh, I have a feeling that I should live the 8 Beatitudes of Christ and the Matthew 7, and I have a feeling that I should live in loving kindness and gratitude and not hurt people. No, it doesn't come from a feeling. It comes from reading. It comes from studying the Gospels. It comes from studying philosophy. It comes from logic and rationality. That's where I learned how to be, and that is still how I'm going to be, but I'm going to turn off the car alarm because it's not helping. God bless you, my friends. I will see you next time.